Are you ready? We're going to compare my favorite small affordable speaker with its successors. This is the Wharfedale Diamond III, this is the 4 and this is the 5. We're playing the same 3 songs through all 3 speakers, but you don't want to listen to the songs 3 times, so we're going to switch speakers within the song. See what you think, and at the end I'll give you my thoughts. Enjoy! Well, that was interesting. We've got the 3 models in a row, as you just saw, and this was the Diamond III, which is still my favorite affordable small speaker. After this test, it is still my favorite affordable small speaker. They're not improving, are they? So we started with the 5, and the 5 sounded bombastic, pretty big for its size, but there was not a lot of nuance in the low end. It was just, here you got a lot of low end, and I'm impressive, but musicality, no. Also stereo imaging, flat. I was sitting right there next to the camera, and there was no stereo imaging whatsoever. The highs were pleasant, but not particularly refined. What I did like was the mid-range, which was pretty refined, and there was a lot of definition to it. Not very organic, but definitely good. They're still a good speaker, don't get me wrong. I still give them like a solid 7.5 out of 10 in this price range and in this size range, but not too impressive. Then came the 4, which actually surprised me a bit. At first I was like, well, and then I started realizing how much more refined the low end was. It was a little thin at moments, but it was definitely more musical sounding. The mid-range definitely was thinner. That I missed a bit. The highs were good. And what I also noticed is, that they weren't great, but they were good. What I noticed was there was a much better stereo image. I had like a bit of a holographic sound going on there next to the camera. And then came these, and at first I was a bit shocked because it sounded way worse for a second, and then I realized the speakers weren't worse. They were showing much more of how bad the first recording actually is. There's distortion in it, there's something rattling. It's not a very good recording, but you don't notice with the other 2 speakers because they sort of smooth it out, because the tweeter just doesn't show much detail. Then these came and they showed everything. And the stereo imaging was even way better than the 4s. It was actually a beautiful 3D soundscape where I was sitting, and I wasn't even in the middle because that's where you are. These are really performing very well. Now at first I thought, and I sort of expected this because they have, I think, a smaller woofer and a tiny little case. I mean, they're not, I have small hands, but these are not big speakers. I think this is like a 5-inch woofer. I don't even know for sure, but I think it is. At first I thought the low end wasn't that great. In the first song I was like, well, it doesn't go boom, boom, boom. It was just lacking. Then came the second song, and I noticed all of the transients in the low ends and all of the musicality. And I also noticed it was actually going quite deep. And then I realized the reason the low end of these didn't seem impressive in the first song is because it's the only speaker of the 3 pairs that we listen to, or the only pair of the 3 pairs, that doesn't overdo the low end. They're not trying to sound bigger than they are, but once there is actual low end in the record, and they actually do a really good job at reproducing that. And then a bit of jazz came, and all of a sudden the snare sounded like an actual snare, and the wood in the reggae sounded like actual wood. Very organic sounding speaker, and I think most of that is to do with the beautiful little tweeter that's in these. Let me grab another pair. Now I didn't want to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway because I want to compare. The 4 and the 5 look pretty similar behind the covers, but the covers are a big take off. Let me compare actually. I think the woofers are, no, this one is slightly bigger indeed, and it's a metal dome tweeter. Well, let's get the 4s then, because I did like the highs of the 4s better, and I'm usually not a metal dome fan. I genuinely am not sure what kind of tweeter this is. Oh Jesus, there they are. Also a metal dome, but a different one, definitely. Same woofer from what I can tell. I'm surprised how much better I like these than these. I also noticed with these my foot was wiggling. With these it wasn't, and with these it definitely was. So yeah, I still like the 3s best. The 4s are a really nice speaker if you can find them, and the 5s, you know, if you have a small space, you want a big sound, they're actually a good speaker, but they are nowhere near as refined as the 4s and even less so than the 3s. I would give these a 7.5 out of 10, these an 8, and these a 9. They are truly great little speakers. So yeah, still the Wharfedale Diamond III for me, but none of these should be avoided. They're all good speakers. Oh, in case you wonder why I took the covers of these and all of these, well, first of all, they come off easier. Second of all, actually they're broken, so they only just hang on. And these are my own speakers. These are just here for testing, and then they move on. They just hang on and they actually rattle a bit, so I don't use them with the covers on them. I actually don't use these speakers anyway. I just have them because they're too good to let go. Everyone should have a pair of Wharfedale Diamond IIIs. I'll let you know when I find something better, but that's still my favorite sub $100 small speaker. Grab them, they're really good. Also, they're very easy with the space. If you put them in like a garage or in like a kitchen, something that shouldn't sound good, they just perform. Gotta love myself a Wharfedale. I will get a pair of 7.1s in. I can't do that yet because they still are to arrive and I want to get rid of the other two soon. So I will still do a video on the 7.1s and maybe I'll try to continue this comparison. But for now, this was the little Wharfedale shootout. Hope you enjoyed it. See you in the next video.